So I kind of already started this project, but I did a bad job filming it, so I'm going to continue on and redo some of it. So yeah, so we've got this plug here, so it's gonna be battery power to power the Pi Dash, and I'm gonna stick my AFR gauge all the way in the corner over there. So I'm going to redo the relay setup that is going to power all of that. So I've got switched power off of the key, so it stays on during cranking. So I've got that hanging out over here. I'm gonna stick a relay back behind here because I feel like that's gonna declutter the area behind there and actually be a little bit easier to access. So I've already got my lengths already mapped out. For lack of anything, I'll just say that there's 2 red wires and 2 black wires. So those are already mapped out for the right length. I've got an old Nissan relay that I'm going to use just because I was unsuccessful at getting new relays in time. So I'm just going to use this. So I need to make this whole harness deal. Harness looks like. So we've got the 2-pin, so that'll come fused from the battery to the relay. I just taped it together. I don't foresee having to change this relay a lot, but it should be pretty easy to access and I can just untape it. I used this the plastic style sleeving on this side, mainly because I didn't have a whole lot of the other sleeving, but this also will do good because where I'm going to route it, there's a lot of sharp metal where the this fabric style doesn't do too great. And then where the fabric style starts, this will be for the Pi Dash, and that's switched power coming from the key and to the O2 sensor. So these two are going to be like more fabric style so that they can snake around a little bit easier than that style. So go ahead and try to slap her in and see how it looks. So the harnesses ran all the way, got it all nicely tucked up. I finished up the install of this AFR gauge since I'm not using this duct anymore. So I 3D printed this little bezel that helps make it sit nice and flush right there. So that'll look good. I still need to wire up the Pi Dash, so there's a little bit of work to do there. I went ahead and installed the ECU. For those that aren't familiar with Miata's, the 1.6 chassis, this is a 1.6 chassis. The ECU is actually on a, like kind of behind the foot area back there. So there's like a whole plate and everything that protects it. So I went ahead and did that since the O2 sensor wiring was the only thing that was left before I could permanently install that. So sans the Pi Dash situation, got everything done on that side. I just need to hook it up to the battery. So I bought a a little fuse block deal that I'm going to try to mount down here. I just need to, I may try to just 3D scan it or something. I've been doing a whole bunch of research on 3D scanning, so I may try to do that with my phone, and then try to make like a 3D printed bracket that'll get it to sit really cool down here. That'd be really exciting if I'd be able to pull that off, but I'm not 100% sure if that's actually going to happen or it's going to work at all. So we'll see. But all right, on to the next thing. All right, so next up is the wiring of the Pi dash. So put this off to the side for a second. So this is how it's currently wired up. It was a little bit neater, but I kind of kept moving everything around in order to look at it. But you essentially have these like DuPont connectors. So this bottom board is specific to the screen. And then you have power, ground, SDA and SCL. Yeah, SDA and SCL going to this header here. I don't particularly care for this setup. It seems a little temporary. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to solder some wires here and then use this guy here. Basically put a proto board on top so that the wires go and solder directly into this board here. So you get your SDA and SCL down here, and then 5-volt and ground wire here. And then I'm gonna also hardwire this 5-volt transformer unit. This should be able to give it 5 amps. So 5 amps should be enough in order to run the Pi and the screen, hopefully at its peak performance. If not, I can always add a second one of these. But hopefully this is enough. And then I may come back later and 3D print a little bracket that allows this thing to sit here. But for now, I'm just gonna let it hang because I've got other priorities. So go ahead and get that started. That took too long, and I found that I don't have the right standoffs. I need a bunch more of the ones that have a stud on one end, and then this kit came with just like 2 female ends. But either way, so we got our regulator here going over with some stress relief pieces. I've just sacrificed the end of a resistor I had sitting around so that I have 5-volt and ground. So then you have 5-volt and ground going into the screen, then your SDA, SCL coming in here. And then don't mind the fact that I broke that, but we're not using that connector and it's inside, so it doesn't need to be sealed anyway. But yep, so I got this connector here so that it can interface with the car. So now I just need to put my tune file onto here and plug it in and see if I can do some setup on the screen in order to make sure everything works. All right, so in an effort to not overcomplicate things, I've decided to just hard mount this fuse block down here. So let me just see if I can get you guys all set up. There's this mount here, which is for the OEM antenna, and I drilled out this hole a little bit more so I could fit this Allen key in there. I'm just gonna mount this guy right here, real simple like. I don't like only having one hole for the mounting, but it should be a little bit, it's probably fine. If not, I can always remake this later. This should be simple enough. Really, honestly, my biggest fear is the fact that terminals themselves will be a little bit exposed. So, but I'm hoping that being off to the side like this, I don't keep anything in the trunk outside of packing up for drift events. So
I feel like that'll be good. So then I can take all this wiring here and just put 2 fuses in. Nice and simple. So, yep, we got the bus bar all, or not, I guess it's a fuse block, all wired up. I got a nice 10 gauge mil-spec unit feeding that.
So I guess we'll see if it works, because if that works, it should power on the AFR gauge. There we go. Taking it a win. Let's see if it still is reading properly. So once it's done heating, it should, I think, lean out, I guess. I haven't spent too much time staring at it. Yep, there it goes. Straight to lean. So perfect. So now I can try to figure out how to get the Pi Dash to work. Go team. All right, so that was a little eventful. Hopefully that came out on video, because that was kind of wild looking. But I thought it was my AFR gauge wiring that just utterly let all the magic out. But it wasn't, thankfully. Which, and this kind of, I don't know if it makes more sense or not. But man, this wire got toasted. It must have been nicked or something, because it looks like it shorted on this piece right here, right on the bolt for the Hydromaster, and just shorted the shit out of itself. Excuse my language. And then it shorted the whole thing all the way up to where it is right there, where it is teed into the ignition switch, which makes sense of why the fuse in the back never blew, because this one's on a pretty hefty fuse. But yeah, it burned the wire all the way up. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way of redoing that. And hopefully it was just the fact that it was, hopefully it was like nicked or something, because I could see when it really started to go up that it was shorting on this bolt. But yeah, at that point it was, I mean, you could see it was like melting, so I wasn't about to touch it. I just unplugged the Raspberry Pi to make sure I didn't destroy the Raspberry Pi. I honestly thought there was something wrong with the Pi, which there is. The dash, there's something going on with the screen right now, but yeah, I gotta fix that. Go team. Fixed it, so you can see what happened here. So this is basically just like spliced into my key switch. It's not the best thing, but it worked.
And then this used to be a black wire. And right around here, it must have had a nick or something in it, and then just shorted and just destroyed this entire wire. I'm glad this is it, because like the ignition switch wire was fine, like that didn't really do anything, and I was able to kill power, I guess, fast enough where it didn't do any more damage. Literally the wire that this was connected to was completely fine, so it was just this sectional wire that shorted out. So I fixed all that. Currently working on trying to get it to load my tune on the tuner studio on the Pi. So that's taking a little bit. I may have to try a different routine to get that going, but we're getting there, pretty close. All right, one last update. I didn't film any of it because it took me a surprisingly long time, but that is the dash that I kind of designed for the car. So that's good. These side brackets need to be flipped, but anyways, let's see if I can get a better view. The handbrake's kind of in the way, but yeah, big thing for coolant temp, so I'll know that. Time sheet or time graph for AFR, so I can see if it's been spiking lean or whatever. Oil temp, which seems to consistently be 20 degrees low, not really sure why. Then air temp, like manifold air temp, you know, thing for fans, showing if fans are on, battery voltage, which has been going down since I've been messing. This thing's just been on for a while. Map, boost, RPM. So pretty solid. It should look pretty cool as I'm driving. It's like pretty dark background, so I think once everything's put together, it'll match pretty good, and I'll be able to read it. So cool beans. All right, guys, I think we're gonna call it here for today. I guess the next topic I would think is gonna be more concisely done in like one full video. So yeah, cool. Thanks for watching. See you next time.